It's another edition of Time About the Movies. We're looking at the movies released on July 20th, 1990. And we got three movies to look at today. Two of them were pretty good. One, not so much. But let's get right to it. Let's start with the first movie, and that is the Steven Spielberg-produced horror comedy Arachnophobia. So, as you can probably tell, this movie has a lot of influence from films like Kingdom of the Spiders and, most notably, Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, except placed with spiders. In fact, it's weird because some of the advertising in this movie actually had it more similar to stuff like Jaws and, can't remember the other movie now. Okay, Alien was the other one, even though the first Alien technically came out in '79. But that's what the ad said on here that I'm looking at here. It's a British newspaper ad that basically says, in the '70s it was Jaws, in the '80s it was Aliens, and now for the '90s the last word in suspense is arachnophobia, which, I mean, it's pretty much like that. I mean, a lot of people are scared of spiders, and they do a pretty good job of making you afraid of spiders, even if you're not afraid of spiders, because this is a ton of fun. This is a fun B movie that, it's silly, yes, but there are genuinely scary moments in here that I was just like, whoa, that took me off guard completely. And coincidentally enough, the day I'm posting this, June 2nd, they actually announced that they're remaking this movie with Christopher Landon, the director of Freaky and the Happy Death Day series, which, good movies all in all, but I don't know if you can make this work in a modern setting. I mean, I'll give Landon his credit for his past works. Maybe this could work here, but I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. But in terms of the original movie is a fun movie. It's a fun B movie throw ride. You got Jeff Daniels in here, John Goodman, Harley Jane Kozak. You also have some other notable names here: Stuart Pankin, Kathy Kinney, who would later be on the Drew Carey Show, Julian Sands. Just a great good cast overall, and yeah, the visuals in here are actually pretty nice, and the spiders do legitimately look terrifying. I mean, it's amazing how they make these little spiders look as insane as they do in this movie. Like the scene where, like you see the scene in the trailer where the spiders just keep growing from the sink and all that. It's just like, ugh. But yeah, it's a great movie. Interestingly enough, though, one of the things about this movie that I thought was very interesting was that this is actually one of the movies that I think this is the movie that temporarily broke Steven Spielberg from Disney, because of what happened was there was a new Roger Rabbit short that came out that summer, Roller Coaster Rabbit, which is probably my favorite of the three shorts. Great animation, great comedy all around. Steven Spielberg actually wanted to put that short on Arachnophobia. However, Disney decided to put it on Dick Tracy instead, and Steven Spielberg apparently was not happy about that, and that actually caused the cancellation of another short that was supposed to come out in '91. And I don't know if this is true or not, but I think that Steven Spielberg's Peter Pan movie that he was working on, which would later become Hook, I think he was working on this at Disney, and then after all this happened, he took that over to Sony, and it took a while for them to get another Amblin Entertainment movie. I mean, there was a Far Off Place in '93, but after that, I don't think it was until, it was a long time ago. It was a long time. I think it was the BFG. I think it was in 2016 when the Amblin Entertainment came back into the fold, and then most recently it came back in with West Side Story, with the movie going over from 20th Century Fox over to Disney. But it's interesting how that all panned out as a whole, because the fact that one little short being put on one movie and not the other completely almost destroyed that relationship between Disney and Steven Spielberg. And so that's it. That's kind of an interesting note to it's an interesting fun fact to find out about this movie. I mean, the movie itself as a whole is very good. If you put that short in front of this movie, I don't know if it would have that same effect. I think that short works better in front of Dick Tracy, because both the short and the film have this great visual style to it. Plus, that movie was a much bigger success than this movie was, even though this movie was a huge success at the box office, considering the small budget it had. I don't know. I mean, it was an interesting situation to be in. But like I said, as far as the movie itself goes, it's a great movie, a great thriller, a great comedy, just a ton of fun all around, and the first movie from Hollywood Pictures, so another subdivision within Disney starts with this movie. But need I say more? Arachnophobia is pretty damn awesome. If you haven't seen it already, I would say definitely check it out. So, on to the next movie, and that is... Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was watching another Hot Shots movie. Doesn't this feel like a movie that that Hot Shots would have parodied? I mean, Charlie Sheen even looks like his character from the Hot Shots movies. I mean, they even have the same composer, Sylvester Levy, who also did the music for Hot Shots and Hot Shots Part 2. But this is a movie that's supposed to be taken seriously. I mean, it isn't Firebird's bad in terms of straight up copying Top Gun, but I don't know. It's pretty close. I mean, it's got a good cast overall. I mean, it's got, like I said, Charlie Sheen, Michael Biehn, Joanne Whalley, Bill Paxton, Dennis Haysbert. But as far as the movie itself goes, it's, like I said, it's a movie that feels like a movie that Hot Shots would easily parody. And you would look at this trailer and think, this is pretty much a Hot Shots movie, except taken seriously, and that's not a good thing. Hot Shots works because you're supposed to laugh at it being taken so seriously. It's intentional. It's a parody. It's a parody that works. This is a parody that doesn't work, and it's not even a parody. It's supposed to be taken seriously. And, yeah, it's a movie that you can easily make fun of. It's not a good movie. It's pretty forgettable. It's almost instantly forgettable. I should say it's more forgettable now, especially after Hot Shots really... This really looks like a movie that Hot Shots was trying to be... This was being, except Hot Shots was making fun of it intentionally. This movie doesn't even feel... I don't even think this movie knows how much it's copying all the other movies like Top Gun and Firebirds and Days of Thunder and all those movies like that. But, I got nothing more to say. That's Navy SEALs. So, on to the last movie, and that is Marlon Brando and Matthew Broderick starring in The Freshman. You know, a lot of people like to get on Matthew Broderick all the time, but, I mean, his first couple movies, he works with John Hughes, he stars in a movie with Denzel Washington, he stars with a movie with Dustin Hoffman and Sean Connery, and then he does this movie with Marlon Brando. Not a bad start to your career, honestly, and The Freshman, it looks like it's a one-joke premise, like the fact that the guy that Broderick's working for looks exactly like Don Corleone from The Godfather, but the way this movie manages to take a one-joke premise, expand it out the way it does, to where it actually works out in the end, I gotta give this movie a lot of credit for making this work as much as it does, because this is a really good movie. This is a movie that a lot of people I don't think really talk about all that much, but it's a movie that's definitely a lot better than I think the trailers give it off to be. Like I said, it feels like a one-joke premise, but the way they make it work into the story, this is a well-written movie. Broderick and Brando work off each other so well. When you have to work off against, when you're Matthew Broderick and you have to work off against a guy like Marlon Brando, it's tough to do, but their chemistry just works so well. And even though Marlon Brando is clearly playing a character that's reminiscent to Corleone from the Godfather movies, he makes this character his own, and it doesn't feel... It's similar, and it's similar, but it's not too similar where it can get old real fast. It just works so well for what they're trying to do here. It's very funny. It's very well written. It's a very underrated movie. I can't recommend this movie enough. If you haven't seen The Freshman, I highly recommend checking it out. You're missing out on probably one of the most underrated comedies of all time. Sadly, not a lot of people really talk about it, but it's definitely worth a watch. If you're looking for a movie if you're looking for a good comedy from the 90s that's very underappreciated, you'll definitely find it with this movie, The Freshman. Can't recommend it enough. Definitely check it out. So with that said, that's going to wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. Next time around, we'll wrap up July, and we've got 3 movies to do that. We've got Harrison Ford in the thriller Presumed Innocent. We also have Problem Child, a movie that was heavily panned by critics, but went on to become a nostalgic classic. How do I feel about it? You just got to watch it the next time around to find out. And we'll also look at Chicago Joe and the Showgirls. So we'll wrap up July on the next episode. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, if you want to see more videos like this, check out the playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode. I'll see you guys tomorrow for another episode, so until then, take care.